Okay guys, recap time. So we're in the DIR setup mode, which we got into by holding down the button, plugging in our battery at the same time, waiting for the light sequence to go off. From there, we went ahead and mechanically 90'd our servos. From there, we set up the CCPM by picking the odd man out, reversing the servo using the reversing servo feature. From there, we set up the CCPM, reversing everything in the swash mix menu as needed. From there, we came back, we electronically sub-trimmed our servos to get to 90. We got our swash plate on, we adjusted our links to get level on the swash plate and also level throughout the full collective pitch range. Okay, so now what we need to do is, I can tell right off the bat, we've got way too much pitch. I mean, we got a ridiculous amount of pitch, but that's okay. That's not important quite yet. What's important now is we want to go back, because we're still setting up the neutral positions of the helicopter. Okay, go back into your pitch curve once again and get yourself to 50 in, 50 out. Okay, I'm trying to get there. Okay, so now at 50 in, 50 out, what we've got to figure out is if our swash plate is in the center of its full travel. And what that means basically is, say we set this helicopter up for a plus 12 degrees of pitch and a minus 12 degrees of pitch. When we go full, we should have enough room to go to plus 12, and when we go full negative, we should have enough room to get, our full minus 12. So, and basically what we need to find out is, just say we adjusted our links to where we're right here. Obviously we have a limited negative pitch range and a huge positive. So we need to make sure we're dead center to where we have even throw on our collective pitch range. And basically what we're going to do to figure that out is sticking at, sorry, my light keeps turning off here, sticking at your 50 in, 50 out. Okay, what we need to do is use, if you're using an align helicopter, use the supplied flybarless pitch gauge setup tool. We're going to install that, which it's obviously already installed, and we're going to slide the little bar through that we're going to use, and we're going to put a pitch gauge on one blade. Usually I set up what I call the master blade, and I'll mark it with a little mark or something, and then we want to match the other blade to that blade at all times. That way if we have a blade tracking issue, we know the blade with the mark never gets adjusted. The one without the mark is the one you're going to adjust to get your blades tracking. So anyways, we're going to slide our tool on, set our pitch gauge to 0 degrees of pitch, and adjust the link, your pitch link, as needed until you get that 0 degree of pitch. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put my pitch gauge on, get my tool up here set up, and we're going to adjust our link until we get 0 degrees of pitch, and we'll come back and we'll review that from there. Remember guys, 50 in, 50 out. Make sure you're 50 in, 50 out. I can't say it enough times. I know it gets annoying, but make sure you're there. So go ahead and get this part done, and we'll come back and we'll take a look at it. Okay you guys, so we've went ahead and we've adjusted our links to get 0 degrees of pitch at 50 in, 50 out. I'm going to try to show it to you, but it's going to be kind of hard to see on a camera, of course. So we've got our flybar tool there, and then all you do is you get down eye level, and you want to aim the top of the pitch gauge for the bottom of the little flybar setup tool. Let's see if we can capture it. But I mean, we're right at 0 pitch. It's kind of hard to tell. But so we've got 0 pitch on both blades. That way our blades are swinging even on the same plane. We'll know later on if we have a tracking issue when we wind it up for the first time. So now what we need to find out, as I was telling you later, if our swash plate's in the center of travel, is we need to set up our positive and negative range and make sure they both equal. There's a full positive of the same value and a full negative of the same value. If that happens, then we have the swash plate in center. But if we end up with, say, like a plus 9 and a minus 15, then we're not in the center. Or a plus 16 and a minus 8, we're not in the center. So get yourself to this point here. Double, triple check everything. We're still in DIR setup. And I'm going to show you how to set up your maximum collective pitch range. Okay guys, so in order to do this, here's what we need to have happen. We're going to come over to our radio, okay, and we're going to jump into the swash mix menu again. Go back here to swash plate, okay, and we're going to come down to pitch. And I always just keep it highlighted for standby, okay. Now what we're going to do is go ahead and get yourself to this point in the radio, and then take your pitch gauge off and set it up to the desired pitch amount that you want for your positive range. I'm going to set mine up for a plus 12. So do that, reinstall your pitch gauge, have your radio ready, and then we'll come back and we'll continue. Okay, so we've got our pitch gauge set up for a plus 12. Okay, our little arrow's on the 12. So now what we're going to do, depending on what you're using, we're going to put our collective stick all the way up to its full max. Okay, all the way up. Now you'll notice, obviously, the bar is really far off from what we need. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over here, and we're going to adjust this number up or down until that bar lines up. And I'll try to do it on camera with you guys for this one. It's going to be a little hard. I'll have to fine tune it. But you notice as I adjust the number, that starts to move. Okay, so go ahead and move this around until you get that lined up. Okay, and then once you get to that point, we'll come back and we'll review. Okay, so we went ahead and we got this lined up to where at a plus 12 degree or whatever pitch you're using, adjusting our swash mix, we got that to line up. I went from a 60 all the way down to a 34. So, like I told you, we were going to adjust those numbers, and that's pretty drastic. But with the DFC head, we've got a lower, the head's dropped a lot lower. So your numbers will be higher on a fly barred, and probably a little bit lower, but definitely higher than this on just a stock fly barless head. DFC is probably going to be pretty dang low. So now what we need to do is we need to set our pitch gauge to the corresponding negative. So if we have a plus 12, set this to a negative 12, and then we're going to drop our collective all the way down. Oops, it's a switch. We're going to drop our collective all the way down. When we set our pitch gauge to a minus 12, it should already automatically line up with that bar. If it doesn't, then we know we need to go back and adjust our swash plate either up or down to get us an even pitch throw both up and down. So I'm going to set mine to a negative 12 real quick, and we'll come back and we'll take a look at what I get. Okay, so we're sitting on a negative 12. Luckily mine lined up spot on, so I know my swash plate is in the direct center of its full travel limit. And you'll notice now that we've got the swash mix toned down, I don't really have a whole lot of movement, but we're using a DFC and a direct link swash helicopter, so a little bit of movement goes a long way on a heli like this. So, just to recap, if you don't have the exact match for your positive to your negative, you need to go back and you need to either raise or lower the swash plate. A way to know is if you have a really high positive but a low negative, you need to lower your swash plate. If you have and basically that's actually it, because if we set it up for the positive amount, then your negative don't match, you need to drop the swash plate. Same thing can be said though, I guess, if we have like a plus 12 and we're going to drop our negative and it's like hitting the very bottom of the frame here, then you have way too much negative. You need to raise the links on your swash. The good part about this is we leveled the swash, so as long as you adjust all three links evenly, your swash plate doesn't need to be re-leveled. It should remain level. So go ahead and get this step done until you have the same exact amount of positive to negative using the swash mix menu, both up and down. Once this is done, we're going to set up the cyclic pitch, and then we're going to actually go through the rest of the steps on the after the DIR setup mode. So get that done first, and then we're going to come back and we're going to continue on. Okay, so once your positive and negative are even with each other, we now need to set up the cyclic pitch, which is going to basically adjust how fast you flip and roll and how sensitive your cyclic stick is in general. Typically, I like to keep my cyclic under my collective, so if I have a plus 12, I'm gonna set this up for about a 10. So basically what you're going to do is you want to return to 50 in, 50 out on the radio. Make sure you're right at half stick. I've already done mine, so I'm just going to kind of center my stick here. But what you want to do is you want to either position the blades facing this way from the heli, or you want to face them going down the length of the heli. One of them's for aileron, one of them's for elevator. You only need to do one or the other. So in this case we're doing elevator. You'll notice that if I give aileron movement with the blades this way, the blade pitch don't move. Whereas if I give elevator, we get blade pitch. This is actually how the fly barless system moves you around. It'll give, if we give elevator, it's going to pitch you here, but it won't pitch you when the blades are the length of the heli, but when it gets back to this position, it'll pitch you up again. So that's how that works. So anyways, we're gonna do the same thing here. We're gonna get it 50 in, 50 out, and we're gonna want to give, you know, like I said, we're doing the elevator, so make sure we're on elevator in the swash mix menu, and we're gonna want to give elevator in whatever direction takes us towards the little bar there. And you're going to increase and decrease that number, holding the elevator all the way up, take in mind, until you know, we turn out level there, which is going to give us a plus 10. You don't need to repeat the same with the negative portion. Just get it positive, because once you get that number set, you have both throw this way, both forward and backwards. So once that's done, you actually just match your aileron and elevator, which is what I always do. So they're both at a 46 right now. And then we're going to go ahead and take a look at our movements. They look pretty quick. Looks like I'll be able to get some pretty good 3D out of that. Once we're done with that, the next important thing to check is I'm going to put my collective stick all the way up, and I'm just going to rotate clockwise at all of my endpoints. And make sure you don't hear any binding. Servos are perfectly quiet. There's no buzzing. I mean, if they're buzzing a little, that's kind of normal on like a 600-700 size, but there's no binding, and that's what's important, okay? So now we're going to move all the way down and also check that we have no binding. So that means at no point in time during any flight or any maneuver will we bind a servo or get caught up or anything. So this is done. Go ahead and return to 50 in, 50 out on the transmitter, and we'll continue on from right there.